Some of the things that I witness leaf blowing companies doing just shouldn't be possible. I mean, you can't even make up the things that I'm witnessing and filming. Uh, Once again, it's Cagwin and Dorwood, possibly the worst of the worst. And this morning started with leaf blowing at 5:30 a.m. and it was like 36 degrees outside. It's pitch black, and yet the room is vibrating. That's how terrible these machines are. And they're nowhere near. I mean, they aren't anywhere near the neighborhood yet. And that sort of noise pollution is taking place. And about 8 a.m., I take the dogs for a walk, and the noise pollution has become quite intense by that time. And I'm realizing that there's like an entire swarm of leaf blowers. And then I realize as I get closer that it's on the block that I had the day before said, oh, I got to get back here tomorrow morning and pick up some of these leaves and take them to my yard. They were beautiful, beautiful Bartlett pear leaves in multiple colors, making the street look nice, and they smelled good. I wonder if people even remember that there was a smell of fall, and it's the leaves. Anyway, 5 leaf blowers, 5 simultaneously, 5 leaf blowers marching down the street. Some of them blasting leaves from the left, others blasting the leaves from the right. One end of the street to the next. Just mind-blowing levels of noise. And it's still cold. It's only up to 39 degrees by then. A crisp winter morning. And yet it smells like absolute garbage. Just, I'm choking on the fumes. This winter morning is gross already. Not just from the noise, but also the fumes in the air. By 8 a.m. because of humans declaring war on leaves. Now this gets much, much more interesting, so hang in there. I have filmed myself sweeping up the leaves on this street and putting them in a bag just to show how fast it can be done if you do it with a little bit of physical effort and a little bit of brain power. I'm faster than all 5 of these guys working together. Now that's a topic for another episode. Let's get back to the history of this street. Parkside Way in the most disgusting urban sprawl town I can imagine, Roseville, California. And I have been filming for a full year now pieces of trash on that street that, despite weekly landscaping, remain there. I don't even know how that's possible. You'd think that it would blow away or something. But no, the same pieces of trash, a styrofoam Sonic cup and a plastic bag, and other ones. Oh, and also branches. Entire branches laying on the ground. But you can't have the natural leaf fall. That's where we draw the line. Now this, as I said, this gets even crazier. Those pieces of trash that I mentioned not only survived weekly landscaping, but survived the company coming out and laying down tan bark. I mean, a ton of tan bark. They just went around the entire area dropping tan bark. The amount of money, the amount of resources wasted on keeping the ground barren. Most of the year, they just keep it barren, hideous, barren, unhealthy soil. And then one day they decide, oh, let's spend money putting down tan bark. Well, here's the real gem of the story. Somehow, the trash that I said had been there for a year, has been there for a year, remained. and it wasn't even buried by the tan bark. They picked it up, put down the tan bark, and put the trash back down on the ground. All of it. Every piece. Not just those two, but there were other pieces also, as well as the fallen branches and things like that. That's how robotic the human race has become. That's how robotic the landscaping companies are, and that's how robotic the communities are, the people living in these communities, that something that absurd is taking place, and not only does no one say anything about it, no one's even noticing. And that increases the frustration of humans pretending that they're civilized, or that the way that the neighborhood looks is really important to them. You know, what separates us from the animals. You're not even looking. You're not even looking because it doesn't look good. The closest those streets come to looking good is when the leaves try and cover all the damage that we cause, which inevitably leads to something like today, 5 leaf blowers at once. And that's not because there was some sort of lag in previous weeks of the landscapers. Nope, they've been there every week. I document it every week, and I document them somehow miraculously managing to leave behind the trash every week, which we can go into a whole nother subtopic. Whose responsibility is it? You know, the people who are desperate to defend this absurdity, probably out of embarrassment that they aren't actually aware of it, and I had to point it out to them. But instead of accepting that they're a part of this problem, we'll be like, oh, well, that's not their job. They're there to get the leaves. Wow. Okay. So whose job is it? If it's not the people that the taxpayers pay to come through every freaking week for the sake of the place looking a certain way, if it's not their job, whose is it? Maybe the residents? Maybe members of that community? Well, they don't want the responsibility either. They certainly don't show any indication that they care. Nobody does it. I did it when I moved here, only to realize what kind of a crap hole I had moved into. So now I just document it. You know, let me guess, you're going to point your finger at me. Well, why don't you pick it up? This is why. So I can expose you. So I can expose these leaf blowing companies. And so I can expose the human race for being full of shit, for pretending that they believe in something that they aren't even looking at. If you care about your community, why aren't you picking it up? I don't care about this community. This community is a farce. And this community taught me that it's not worth caring about. 7 days a week, leaf blowers. 7 days a week. And even when I try to escape my own neighborhood, there's just more leaf blowers in the next spot I go to. Every day. It's inescapable. It doesn't sound possible. I know that what I'm saying doesn't sound possible and that you assume I'm exaggerating. Well, that's why I film it. It seems pointless. It seems like it's not going to accomplish anything. I guess I film it just so that there's proof that I'm not lying about this. What the human race has devolved to is truly concerning. Well, not to ruin the surprise, but I already have the answer. I have the end to the story. I went back out for a run, and they were gone, and the trash and the branches remain. It's just incredible. It's just incredible. The place has been blasted to ugliness, and yet the trash and the branch, the full branch, the size of a small tree with leaves on it, is still laying there. And I thought when I saw the gigantic vehicle, like the really tall one that looks like it's meant to haul debris around in, I thought that that was surely, surely going to mean the end of that branch and that maybe they would at least pick up the trash on this day. Nope. Both the branches and the trash are going to continue to live on. And that poor street, it's so ugly now. Wow.